Here we go. It is time to learn and grow together. We're going to be talking about my latest article on Florida Today. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to learn and grow together. And it's time to dance. Hey, Brian, are you dancing on the other side?
Of course.
Do you dance with me?
No.
Oh, come on.
Sometimes.
Okay. Can you dance with me today? I don't have anybody to dance with.
Sure. Where's Tim?
Tim has a little sick girl.
Need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, I am solo. I am flying solo. Today, we were planning on discussing with one of my favorite editors, Tim Walters of Florida Today. He writes a column called Daddy Duty. And today he is pulling Daddy Duty. All of a sudden, his little beautiful girl, Isabella, started getting sick and he needs to be with her. So today, instead of dissecting the article with Tim, I get to share a little bit more about what was happening in my mind as I was writing this, why I wrote the article. Maybe if you have any questions about the article, you can see it on floridatoday.com. It's probably posted at whenyouneedafriend.com already if you go to About Lillian. And the first section that you toggle down to is articles on Florida Today. So I've been writing for the last 3 years, and every year it seems like I become a little bit more comfortable with sharing my thoughts, my feelings with more than just myself. It started when I was a little girl, and I would write letters to God. Anytime that I felt there was something inside of me brewing, I would write these love letters to God and say, the letters would always start with Dear God, and they would end with Love Lily. And the funny thing is I would fold them up and put them in my nightstand. And those little letters would just sit there. And I don't know, they disappeared one day. I don't know if I threw them out. They didn't mean as much to me as they do today. I didn't know what I was doing. Instinctively, that's what I would do to kind of process how I was feeling. And it wasn't until 1999 or 2001, around that time frame, that I was challenged to start a gratitude journal. And when I started writing this gratitude journal, it was, and I still had been writing, sporadically, depending on how I was feeling, but this was purposeful. This was a challenge to write things that I was grateful for. And it was only things I was grateful for. So it's called a gratitude journal. For those of you who have issues with depression or trying to find things to be grateful for, looking for it and having at least 3 things that you can write down was a great thing for me. I've never dealt with depression. Yeah, I've had sad moments. I've had moments that I would like to never repeat again. However, those are the moments that are defining of people. Those are the moments, those moments that you feel, oh my, how could I get out of this? Or why is this happening to me? And it was given to you as a gift. If you look at it in a way to process it, get to that next and higher level, then it's all worth it. So as I started to look at journaling, I realized, man, I've been journaling since I was a little girl, since I could write. But then something happened when I was in college, my junior, when you're taking these courses where you have to write essays, my teachers would say how horrible a writer I was. So I kind of stopped doing this writing thing and just kept it to myself. The writing was to myself. And about 3 years ago, I was asked to write an article for Florida Today, and I am still writing. I actually get paid to write, which was kind of humorous for me. But these are little gifts that I now give myself because I don't have the discipline, and I guess I could request it of myself. But because I do so much writing and preparing for the show, I haven't been journaling as much. So once a month, I get to share a little bit about me and about my life. And so this article that you can find on floridatoday.com and at Lillian McDermott or whenyounneedafriend.com is all about the phases of motherhood. Can you believe it? I'm in phase 3. I've made this all up. There's probably 4 phases, but or maybe there's more than four phases, but I am in phase 3. So I can only write for what I know. I can imagine what it might be like to write for something else that I have not experienced. But usually what I write about is things that I know or that I have experienced myself. And hopefully, in me sharing with you, you feel that you have somebody by your side. You don't feel alone. And that is the purpose of the Lillian McDermott radio show, is for you to feel that you have a friend that is walking beside you, not by yourself. And by the way, if you only knew who walked beside you, you would never feel alone again. And we're going to continue our conversation about my article on Florida Today when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. And wishing Tim Walters' little girl, Isabella, good health. And right before the show started, I got a text from Tim letting me know that he wished he could do the show today, but having a 3-year-old running around when he's trying to do a show is not very good. So I hope that we can dive in deeper to the meaning of the show today, and that you will be able to kind of reflect on your phases of motherhood. So here we go. Brian, keep me honest with time. Here we go. Thanks for keeping me honest with time, Brian.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today, I get to share by myself. I miss Tim Walters. He's my editor at Florida Today, and he is pulling daddy duty. Coincidentally enough, he writes an article every week called Daddy Duty, and it's about his raising his little girl, Isabella. Isabella is now 3 years old, and she is homesick, and Tim didn't feel that it was appropriate to have a 3-year-old running around while trying to do a show, and that is part of daddy duty. I'm sure he'll be writing about this soon. But today we're going to be discussing my article. Hopefully I can dissect it a little bit more and what I meant, but you can find the article at whenyounneedafriend.com. It should be there waiting for you, and also at floridatoday.com, and just search for my name, Lillian McDermott, and you should be able to see everything that I've written and all the videos and the television shows I've done with Florida Today. They have really embraced the show, and I'm telling you, they don't censor me, which is wonderful, especially when I wrote the article on asking if you're chemotherapy deficient. I thought for sure they were going to censor me there, but they did not. So I hold Florida Today at a very high level, and I'm so grateful for the fact that they do publish my articles. So the article today is called Phases of Motherhood. And by the way, it'll be in print on Thursday, as always, the second Thursday of the month. Now, if you were to ask any child what they want to be when they grow up, you would hear, I want to be a police officer, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor, a nurse. Those might be the top 4 responses. For me, it was, I want to be a mommy. That's all I ever wanted to be. As a matter of fact, I had a doll named Victoria, and I loved Victoria so much that her head popped out. That's how much. It was one of those little dolls that had the head that you can kind of like screw in. It was a cloth body. Well, I hugged that little doll so much and loved it so much that the head popped out. True story. I still have that doll. I want to give it to one of my grandkids, but I'm afraid that I might scare them because Victoria doesn't look good anymore. But still, she's a part of my memories of childhood. And so if that's all I wanted to be was the concept, I wanted to write about the concept. I had an illusion of what being a mom was all about. And at the ripe old age of 24, I became a mom. I was married and for a couple of years, and that's all I kept thinking about. I just want to be a mommy. I just want to be a mommy. And so I entered into what I would like to call phase one. So I broke the phases of my mothering or motherhood in 3 phases, but I'm sure there are more phases. And for those of you who'd like to share the phase you are in, you can call me at 407-373-5959. So the first phase I thought is superhuman. I remember when my child was first born, my firstborn that I gave birth to in my womb is Brittany. The first child that I gave birth in my heart is Matthew. And so then there's Ashley, and then there's Brittany and Blake now. So those are the names of my children. For this sake, I want to talk about Brittany in particular because she was my first child born in my womb, not my heart, and or also in my heart. So I remember when she was born, I would watch her breathe. How many of you moms can relate to watching your children breathe? I was so afraid that something would happen to her. And so it's the gift that I always wanted. It was the dream that was fulfilled at that moment. And I remember she was the perfect little girl at the hospital. But the moment I took her home, it seemed like she cried for 2 years straight. And I don't know if you can relate to that too, but that's what became oh my God, I went from this illusion of being a mom, everything would be perfect and I would do everything perfect. And the reality was I had no clue what it was about. The fears of what could go wrong. And I felt lucky that, as time would go by, that my child was still alive because, I really didn't know what I was doing. But little by little, I kind of got my mommy mojo going. And I did looked around and I observed and I noticed that what other people were doing. There were manuals at the time and articles that were written, what phase your child is in, what a mom should be doing at this point. I read them all. I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything right for my little girl. I baby-proofed the house. I learned a new language. I was at my children's beck and call. I was hyper-vigilant about germs. Everything was disinfected. And I had a direct line with my pediatrician, Dr. John Mackey. Dr. John Mackey just ascended. He became like my grandfather in my heart. He was my grandfather in my heart. But Dr. John Mackey just ascended last year around October. After a long life of 100 years, he ascended. He was my rock. He became that person that I relied on for raising my little ones. And I remember when Brittany was born, if she would just sniffle, I would call Dr. John Mackey, and he was on the other end saying, what's your problem? And I said, well, Dr. Mackey, and I would just cry and do all this stuff. And Dr. Mackey would tell me what to do. And he would calm me down. And I tell you what, he did such a great job that as all my other children came on board and came into my life, I remember if any of them would come into if we were busy or if we were doing things, it was date night or whatever it was, I would let them know, if they came in with the coughing and they didn't cough up a lung, I knew they still had another one. And I tell them, you got another one, don't worry about it, you're going to be fine. And so my attitude changed in a very quick period of time about, just being so hypervigilant about what could go wrong to knowing everything's going to be okay. Most everything's going to be okay. So there were some things that we needed to rush to the emergency room for, but for the most part, everything was okay. I remember them falling down and proclaiming, nice stunt, so we can adapt. We learn what it's like to be a mom, but it helps that there are other people ahead of us that were giving us their tips. And so I learned about them, and I wanted to be the best mom ever. I was the room mom for all my children, not just one, all of them. I was the room mom. I even became the room mom for an emotionally handicapped class, not for 1 year, but for 7 years. It was one of those things where I couldn't get enough of being a mom. But guess what? Something happens along the way that life causes for children to get older. And that parenting style that worked when they were little may not work as they get older. I remember when I was a little girl, my mom would be getting ready for the day. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I would wake up and my mom would be fully dressed, makeup on, and then I would always walk in. I don't know what it was. She would be putting on her lipstick. Maybe that's why I have this lipstick thing that if you see me without lipstick, I'm dead. Just put a chalk line around me because I always have lipstick on. I could have no makeup on, but you will see me with makeup, with lipstick. And so I would go to my mom. I say, Mommy, where are you going? And she'd say, to the kitchen. You want to come? She taught me that being a mom was as important as any job that you would have. And I would wake up 2 hours before my kids would wake up. I would shower, get dressed, get ready for the day. I would have breakfast ready for the most part. As they got older, they prepared their own breakfast. But for that time, I learned the importance, the value of being a mom, of raising our children. I don't know if you feel this way, if you can relate to everything I'm saying, and if you do, you can call me at 407-373-5959. But I remember hearing someone say to me one time, little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. I could not imagine, with as much effort as I was putting into being a mom, that things could get worse. What? I thought they're crazy. Well, as they got older, then the skinned knees became skinned hearts. And the scheduling playtime turned into monitoring their friends. And so things got a little bit different. And that's when the time to grow happens. We can't continue doing the same things. And trust me, I did. I tried to put up the pressure. I remember when my mom used to say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who they are. And she would say things like that. Or I remember the first time Brittany came in and said, Mommy, where are you going? And I said, to the kitchen, you want to come? Just like my mom. Those silly quotes were silly until I said them, and then they became wisdom. Yes, I said it. When they came out of my mouth, it was wisdom. But when they came out of my mom's mouth, it was silly. Can you relate to that one? 407-373-5959. So one by one, the children started leaving the home. So my hands-on mothering was not needed. My brilliant quotes were rejected, not appreciated anymore. My kids were no longer in my life for me to constantly be monitoring. And then I entered phase 2. I will admit, phase 2 seems like a blur, which is the high school empty nester, kind of one by one leaving their friends, their trends, the relationships, their phones, their computers became more important than me. How can a mom not be the most important thing in a child's life, even as they get older, right? Thankless job. Yes, I said it. So the power that I lost, I tried to gain it back. Can you relate to that? Upping it. Upping the attention for my kids did not work. I will say that phase 2 is a blur, and I don't remember much of it. I just remember hanging on one by one. They're still alive. I'm just so grateful that during this time, I know that I had probably pushed too much, maybe counseled too much, maybe wanted them to be perfect too much. But once you get to that phase 3, which is what we're going to talk about for the next part of the show, that phase 3 is what is next? Who am I? I have no diapers to change, no boo-boos to kiss, no graduations to plan, and many of my kids are married. So what's next for me? Well, that's what phase 3. Who am I? What am I doing here? To quote General Stockdale. I don't know if you remember that, but he ran with Ross Perot. General Stockdale, that was his opening line for the vice presidential debate. Who am I and what am I doing here? Yes, we all wondered that as well. And sometimes as parents, we wonder, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Am I messing up my kids? Nobody ever holds their baby and goes, yep, I'm going to mess you up too. Just like I was messed up when I was a kid. No, we don't do that. And we want to do what's best for our children. But guess what? There comes a time where we just, like an arrow from an archer, we point in that direction and we got to release. And so today we're talking on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, or I'm talking, I want to hear what you have to say about the phases of motherhood. What phase are you in so far? 1, 2, 3, maybe you're in 4th phase. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. I don't think I took a breath, Brian. Did I?
No.
No, I didn't take a breath. I got lots to say about being a mom. So here we go. Let's see if the article is on.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at
Not yet. I put it on.
407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another, and you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my goal that we learn from each other. Go through life with childlike wonder. Learn from everyone who is in front of you, especially your children. They will always teach you humility. They will always teach you unconditional love. And so today I'm asking you to show me some love as we enter into this phase in our life where we acknowledge everybody and we want our children to feel so empowered. Help me feel empowered too, especially since I didn't feel like I mattered. No, I'm just kidding. I would love for you to right now, go to whenyouneedafriend.com. If you're driving, pull over. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. This is where we join the community. We join the tribe, whether it's Heal Tribe or the Lillian McDermott Tribe, whatever it is. This is where we talk responsibility. Responsibility has had a bum rap. I'm telling you, bum rap. And talk about needing to learn a new mentality of responsibility, which leads to empowerment and freedom, is where we get a new framework for that word. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com and feel empowered. Instead of responsibility leading to blame, shame, fault, and duty, this is where we take 100% ownership. And guess what? If you created whatever you find yourself in, you can uncreate it. That is empowering responsibility. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. While you're there, click on all my social medias, click on to YouTube and subscribe there, like me on my social media, share about the show. The only way the show is going to grow is if you help me. I am counting on you, my listening and viewing friends, to tell everybody about a show. If you like it, not only like me, but also encourage and invite others to do the same. While you're there, check out my sponsors, because without my sponsors, this show would not happen. So make sure you support my sponsors the way they are supporting the show. So check them out. And you can get the show on podcast and have it sent to you. I know a lot of people send me requests for books and wondering if they're the 10th caller. when they watch YouTube or they hear the podcast. If you do want to be in line for that competition, you will have to listen live because there's a lot of people who want this before you. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com and become a subscriber, like me on all social medias, listen to me live or the show live, or on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And you can always call me. Today, I want to hear what phase you're in motherhood. There's so many gifts and lessons that you learn as a mother, so many talents, so many skills that we get from parenting. But especially if it's the kind of parenting where you become not second, but their needs become first. And once their needs are met, you yourself must become first. And that's a tip as a parent that I learned later on as I watched my children grow, that it was all about them, all about them. And yes, I would take time for me, but I didn't make myself a priority the way I do now. So some of the ways that I made myself a priority then was, of course, I would wake up earlier than the kids and I would work out. I would, get ready for the day. I would do things. And I encourage you to treat being a mother no differently than you would being an employee or having your own business, except your children are your clients, your preferred clients. They're your sponsors. They're your whatever it is. So I want to encourage you to always have a piece of you that you keep there by your side. It's important that you know and trust the process because, I think there's a terminology in the book, and I've read this book and I've shared this book before. It's called Think and Grow Rich, that we must surround ourselves with a mastermind. These are people that you look up to that give you good, godly advice. And I recommend that you have a team, a mastermind of other moms, people that are in phase maybe 4, so that they've been there, people to get advice from, not take it so seriously. It was all about my children. But I always took time for me, and I want to encourage you. I take more time for me now because the kids are grown up, but at the time, I did my manicures or pedicures. I would have my date nights with my husband. And that's when I established that unless you cough up a lung, you do not interrupt mommy and daddy. So, even if you can't afford the going out on a date because maybe your children, you don't trust anybody with a babysitter, you can still create that element of love and support with your spouse. That's so important, or your significant other. So as you grow as a mom, you realize it's more than being a mom. This illusion that all I was going to be was a mom is just a part of who I was. So this is what happened. I kind of lost myself. Not that much, but really, compared to where I am today, completely. I'm a totally different person. But isn't that true? Isn't that true what is said when you begin something and when you end something? You learn wisdom, you learn knowledge. Let me tell you what I learned about being a mom. And I want to know what you learned about being a mom at 407-373-5959. These are your love letters to me. 407-373-5959. And just make sure you put me in your favorites or add me to your, I used to say speed dial, but that doesn't exist anymore. But so I learned sacrifice. I learned organization skills, creativity. Oh my gosh, I can make so many things with a tube of toilet paper roll. So there's still so much creativity that you learn. Tap into that. Organization. You must be organized as a mom. And if you're waking up at the same time that your kids wake up, oh my goodness, you're behind the 8 ball. They're going to run you ragged, and you're going to be reacting as opposed to proactive. So I learned how to plan events. Man, I can plan an event, and that later on kind of transferred onto my my career. I could plan events and feel very comfortable with them and be a good host. Not just focus on your kids, you focus on the people around you as well. And forgiveness and unconditional love. Those two are so important. What else did I learn? I learned that I can negotiate with terrorists. If I can negotiate with my kids, I have that skill. They can put me down in my resume. I can be a terrorist negotiator, because sometimes we allow our children to become our terrorist in our life, and we've got to put a stop to that. We've got to be assertive as parents, lovingly assertive, that we are doing what's best for them now. Later on, as they learn their skills and learn their tools, they will do what's best for them. And sometimes you got to sit there and watch that happen. That is that step 3, that phase 2, which is the empty nester, is like watching them grow and hit bumps and bruises and be there to love no matter what. Yes, I remember getting upset with my kids, but I hope they know that no matter what, they were loved through it all. So phase 3, which is the phase I'm in right now, the phase 3 is who am I? That's when the house was empty and I was trying to ignore that pinhole in my heart, that who am I kind of thing. I'm no longer needed as a mom. My role as a mom was changing. Can you relate to that? And no matter how hard I pushed, the more they pushed away. And so I learned from that, just let it be, let it go. And now it's time to grow. You helped your kids grow. Now it's time for you to grow, for me to grow, and focus on those childhood things that perhaps maybe you didn't deal with at the beginning of your life, which I thought I dealt with. I thought I dealt with all of it, but it carries with you all the way through your life unless you look at it. So it was time for me to take out my soul shovel and dig until there was only truth. I learned so many different things about my children, but now it was time to learn about myself. I raised beautiful, independent children, and I wanted them to learn to love themselves. And I love the fact that all those things I taught them to be, I now needed to transfer it on to me. I needed to be independent of them. I needed to learn my beauty, and I needed to learn my worth. And at that point, I didn't need to be their mommy anymore, although sometimes mommy comes out. What I really wanted was just to be their friend and cheerleader. And I recommend that in whatever phase you're in, friend and cheerleader, because we're really mommies for a very short period of time, but friend and cheerleader for the rest of your life. So with the phase 3, this is where I got to discover my new passions. This is where I got to establish new friendships, nurture old ones, to grow with my partner, to seek adventures and reconnect with my higher power. Are you ready for that? Are you in that place as a mom? And you go from that being a mommy to being a friend and cheerleader, watching them go through, unfortunately, some of the bumps and bruises that you went through. So when we come back and continue talking about the article on Florida Today, I want to share my acronym of MOTHER. So we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so now it's time for the motherhood or mother acronym. So here we go. I asked him if he was watching listening to the show, and he was saying that he's working on his computer and Isabella is watching Mickey Mouse. So she is not. So he sent me a picture of the two of them together. So I don't know if you want to see that. She is such a beautiful little girl, and I will send this to Tim. He wants to hear the show and how much he's missed on today's broadcast. But we're going to continue our conversation about the article on Florida Today.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we've been talking about my next Florida Today article that you can see it online today. And on Thursday, it'll be on print at Florida Today, and you can see it at whenyouneedafriend.com as well. Tim and I also do a television broadcast on the article, and I'll let you know when that one airs in my blog. So make sure you subscribe to my channel at whenyouneedafriend.com. That way you'll know exactly where you can view and be a part of this particular article. Now, as always, it's not an article unless I have an acronym. It's my thing. I think that I've developed it. So I took motherhood, or mother, being a mother, as phase 1 through phase 3. That progression, that evolution that happens as a mom, that we start off. So I will start with M, which is multitasker. So multitasking, and I'll say this to everyone because I consider myself one of the best multitaskers in the world. Me and President Trump, we're the best ever, but it's an illusion. It is absolutely an illusion to be a multitasker because it's not real. A unitasker is what I learned. You're doing what's in the present moment, because when you're multitasking, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. But then that phase 1 of multitasker turns into phase 3, which is mentor. You go from multitasker to mentor. And especially when you have the kids, you might go back to the grandbabies when you go back to multitasker again. But you become that mentor. That's where you can just relax now. And then O is for organizer. You must be organized as a mom, especially in phase 1. It's good to have that organizational skill your whole entire life, but in phase 3, hopefully you'll become open to change, open to know that being a mom is more than being controlling and making sure that everything happens at the right time, at the right place. Everybody has their rhythm, and we as moms, as you get older, realize that we just need to be open to allow things to flow. But at the beginning, O is for organizer, and hopefully that organizer turns into being able to be open for something else in your life. T, of course, T is for teacher. We are such teachers. And even if you think you're telling them to do something, if you're not doing it, hey, actions are louder than words. So we're constantly teaching our children. What are we teaching them is the important thing. And so that teacher becomes into thoughtfulness. As moms watching our children be moms or dads or grow up, we just need to be thoughtful. But still at the same time, we need to be thoughtful for ourselves as well and protect our thoughts too. So that would be the T for mother, phase 1, phase 3. Now, H for phase 1 is healer. We're kissing boo-boos, scratch knees. We're making sure that if they have a fever, we're their doctors, we're their MDs, right? But then as our children get older, we're their helpers. We're helping them move. We're helping them figure things out. We're helping them, whatever it is that we need as a mother, go from healer to helper. Then there's E for mother. E, empowering. We empower our children to be loved, to be successful, to feel that they matter, that they are enough to figure things out. We empower them. So we are empowering them. And as we enter phase 3, we need to be empowered ourselves. So that's a big shift for me as I went from phase 1 to phase 3. Empowered. I must know that whatever happened in our life, and by the way, I want to add something here, that we may look at our childhood as our parents made mistakes with us, or that we made mistakes with our children. Again, we never bring a child into this world looking forward to messing them up. But what I will say is we need to go back, heal these hurts in our lives, whether it's us ourselves or our children. They need to do this as well, or they get to do this as well. We need to go back and let them know we're human. Let our children know at all stages that we are human. We too have growth opportunities, which I always say the word mistake needs to be reformatted too, because there are no mistakes. There are growth opportunities. And so it's okay to ask forgiveness. It's okay to say you're sorry. It's okay to say, I did the best I could with what I had, just like my mom did and the mom before her, and come to that peaceful place. And that's where the empowering and empowered kind of work like a little eight, an eternal figure eight that never ends. And then R stands for resourceful. Man, I could make a meal with $1. And so you had to be resourceful. Playtime, where was playtime? We couldn't afford to go to Chuck E. Cheese all the time. So, there was, and thank God, but there's, you get very resourceful when you're in phase 1. As you enter phase 3, that resourcefulness becomes your responsibility. You realize you've created everything in your life, whether it's you're perceived as somebody else's fault. You get to that place where you say, I created everything in my life. If I created it, I can uncreate it. I can create what I want as opposed to what I don't want. And for those of you who have followed my show, the responsibility page is whenyouneedafriend.com. It's 100% responsibility page. I encourage all of you to write down your hurts and answer every single question until you can take ownership of it. Because if you take ownership of it, it empowers you. Thank you so much for all your text. I really am so appreciative of it. Thank you so much for your kind words. It means so much to me. And so as we enter into phase 3, I hope that you are digging deep and learning a little bit more about you. So as I learned about me, I was able to go back to my children, ask for forgiveness, and let them know that like I said, I did the best I could with them, with what I was dealing with at the time. But you know what? It's time to forgive and move on and grow. And no matter what phase you're in, no matter if you gave birth from the womb or birth in the heart, all the lives around you are so important. It's so important for people to know that you are human and that you are thriving and learning and growing and doing all the things that you want in life. They say the woman that begins or starts the marathon is not the same person that ends the race. And I say the same thing. The woman who becomes a mother via the womb or the heart is not the same mother who takes her final breath. And I would say that phase 4 would be hopefully our children helping us along the way, taking care of us, loving us the way that we're loving our parents. That's a tough stage. And the stage that we deal with as children, to see your parents get older and see your parents lose their ability to take care of themselves. Although I'm not in that phase now, I'm seeing my parents in that phase. And so we as children have to remember that we are children too. It's not just up to our parents to take care of us. It's also when we enter that phase 4 that we take care of our parents too. And so that's the phase I find myself in as a daughter. We are daughters and we are sons, and we need to and love our parents the way they love us. And I am emotional because it is part of my life right now, but not as for me, but as I see my parents and all the things that they gave us. And it's time for us to give back to our parents, no matter if they were the best parents on earth or not the best parents on earth. We need to make sure that they are safe and that they're okay, because it is so important that we give to people what we want in return. And so be there for your parents and be not just the kid taking and taking and taking. Be also the giver of love too. And so I want to encourage you as you enter into this Mother's Day season or your phase 3 or phase 4, I want to encourage you to love, that be the one thing that if you can do anything, it's the unconditional love, because that will heal your body, mind, and spirit. And please remember, I'm so grateful that you allowed me to vent today. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Hope you like the article and check it out at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. I hope I made it to the end. I was not expecting to get to phase 4 and feeling the way I did. But I want to encourage you to call your parents, love them, and wish your parents, your mom especially, a happy Mother's Day. Thank you. I'll see you soon.